Hello, dear students. I'm Dr. Sumant Autade from Swami Vivekananda Night College. I'm here to take the Environmental Studies lecture, Semester 1. In this introductory lecture, we are going to take an overview of the syllabus for Semester 1 and also will start with the first module of Environmental Studies, Semester 1. The syllabus of Environmental Studies for Semester 1 is spread over 4 theory modules and 1 practical module. The first theory module is titled as Environment and Ecosystem incorporates all the components and processes in environment and ecosystem. It includes concept of environment and environmental system, components of natural environment, difference between natural and anthropogenic environment, and also in the ecosystem, the conceptual background of ecosystem, structure and composition of ecosystem, types of ecosystems, functions of ecosystems, energy flow in ecosystem, and the last part of the module is importance of environmental studies. The second module is dedicated to natural resources, wherein we are going to discuss the concept of a resource and how the natural stuffs are converted to a resource. We are going to discuss various factors determining utilization of natural resources, classification of natural resources, and various problems associated with utilization of water, forest, and energy resources. We are also going to discuss different methods of natural resource management for sustainable development. Third module is population and emerging issues of development, wherein various dimensions of demography will be discussed, including concept of population change, global patterns of population change in India over the period of time, various problems associated with population explosion, demographic transition theory, Human Development Index, World Happiness Index, and so on. Fourth module is titled as Urbanization and Environment, wherein we will be discussing the process of urbanization, various issues of urbanization related to land use, pollution, loss of biodiversity, and migration to the urban centers. We will also look at various environmental problems associated with urbanization and concept of sustainable urban development, in which we will be discussing the concept of smart city program with reference to India. Fifth module is a practical module, wherein there are 2 practicals. One is related to map filling of environmentally significant features in the world map, wherein the techniques of identifying and mapping linear features, polygon features, and also point feature on the world map we will discuss. And the second practical is associated with interpretation of thematic maps, various techniques of cartography, and the comparison and distribution is interpreted in this particular practical. Let us start with the first module of environment and ecosystem. I just told you about the overview of this module. It includes the concept of environmental system, natural and man-made environment or anthropogenic environment, various components of natural environment, the concept of ecosystem and various components of ecosystem, structure and composition of ecosystems. Of course, various classification of ecosystem will also be discussed. Different functions that ecosystem perform, these functions will also be discussed. And last point of this particular module is importance of environmental studies. Before we actually start with the module, we need to understand the module objectives. After studying this particular module, we will be able to understand the concept, definition, nature, scope, and importance of environment and ecosystem. And we will also be able to understand the relationship between man and environment changing over the period of time. We also be able to understand the importance of environmental studies. Dear students, when we think of the environment, we presume that the planet Earth is considered as the environment. The planet Earth is considered as the only planet with living beings on the Earth's surface. However, there are continuous interactions between the inorganic or abiotic components of natural environment with the living beings on the planet in different parts of it. And therefore, this particular continuously interacting system is considered to be the environment. Let us try to understand various definition of environment given by different scientists. According to Tansley, environment refers to the sum total of effective conditions in which organisms live. That means the life supporting system which supports the life of organism on the planet. The Universal Encyclopedia defines environment as the sum total of conditions, agencies, influences which affects origin, growth and death of an organism. So entire life cycle of organism is determined by various conditions, agencies, influences, processes on this planet. That is the main focus of this particular definition. And Osting in 1948 has defined the environment in a very specific manner. According to him, environment is a complex of 5 factors which includes different substances that are available on the Earth's surface, including soil, water, wind, minerals and other substances on the planet. Conditions, primarily the environmental conditions including sunlight, solar energy, temperatures, weather conditions and different atmospheric circulations. Then forces, different types of forces including wind and gravitational force. which ultimately affects the organisms. Now, organisms include all flora and fauna, including microorganisms, and the time which is required for all the processes that are operating in the natural environment continuously. As we have discussed in the earlier slide, that environment include everything. Environment include living organism, environment include biotic and abiotic component, but there are a specific set of interactions between the uh, living and non-living uh, surroundings of the organism on the earth surface, and therefore it becomes a system. So environment is a system which refers to an organized structure of environment in which living and non-living elements are interrelated through various processes. Let us try to take example of the uh, concept of environmental system. Like for example, trees or plants produce their food on their own, and for that they require sunlight. Plants require water, soil, and carbon dioxide to produce their food. Now, when all these biotic and abiotic elements come together, that results into the operation of the process or functioning of the process, which is called as photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis is the process which indicate the interaction between biotic and abiotic components, which results in the production of food for the plants. And therefore, every particular element in the natural environment interact with each other, resulting into various processes, and these processes ultimately give rise to production and distribution of energy in the natural environment. And hence environment itself is a self-regulating system wherein there are so many structured interactions are taking place continuously. There are two types of environments: natural environment or physical environment, and man-made environment. Natural environment include various spheres: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. Lithosphere is the sphere of solid earth, which is composed of rocks and soils. Around 29% of the total earth surface is covered with lithosphere. This is found in form of plateaus, mountains, plains, desert areas, and so on. The solid earth is made up of different types of rocks and minerals, and also covered with topsoil in different parts of the world. Now, the lithosphere is extremely important from human habitation point of view, because various human activities including agriculture, industries, and many other mining and many other economic operations that take place in the lithosphere. In fact, human being has his own habitation on the lithosphere itself. So 29% of the earth surface is covered with the solid earth, that is lithosphere, which plays significant role in human habitation. Hydrosphere is the sphere of water, which covers 79% or 71% of the total earth surface, and this is distributed in various oceans and seas. Primarily, there are three major oceans in the world: Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean in the world, which roughly covers the 46% of the total water surfaces on this planet, followed by Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean. Besides that, there is also Atlantic Ocean, Antarctic Ocean, and Arctic Ocean, which are close to the polar regions. Now, hydrosphere plays significant role in various economic activities like fishing, water transport, and many other activities. But they play important role in atmospheric circulation also on a very larger scale. Atmosphere is a gaseous envelope of around the Earth's surface, which is uh, up to the height of around 360 kilometers from the Earth's surface, wherein various layered of atmosphere is found. Different kinds of gases, stable gases and non-stable gases or unstable gases, are found in the atmosphere. Besides that, we also find the water vapor and dust particles, which are very much known as suspended particulate matter, found in the different layers of the atmosphere. Now, gases, suspended particulate matter, and water vapor play significant role in the atmospheric circulations, which not only creates atmospheric circulations or various kinds of atmospheric processes, but also affects economy and society of or social and cultural attributes of human life on this particular planet. So atmosphere plays significant role in the life on the earth surface. Biosphere is considered as the latest sphere on this planet, which is composed of different organisms, right from the microscopic organisms which live in the soil till the mammals and different animals which are found on the particular planet. Different flora and fauna are observed in water also and on land also. The biosphere on this planet is considered to be developed since 650 million years ago till now, and various species are originating and various species over the period of time are disappearing on this from this planet, and the circulation of these biospheric processes go on continuing. However, all the elements of biosphere continuously interact with their surrounding, with the atmosphere, with the hydrosphere and lithosphere, and different other elements of the natural environment continuously. As we have discussed, that natural environment composed of four spheres: sphere of water, sphere of land, sphere of air, and sphere of living beings or life on this planet, which is popularly known as biosphere. Now, when we talk about all these spheres, these cannot be separated from each other. In fact, they are very much interlinked with each other in different ways. Although we separate for the sake of convenience, lithosphere is separated from hydrosphere. Actually, they cannot be separated because they forms several kinds of interaction between the same. So, lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and atmosphere, all of them interact with each other, or they depend upon each other continuously. So they cannot be left aside. The second type of environment is called as anthropogenic environment, or it is also called as man-made environment. Anthropogenic or man-made environment is the human developed or man made environment, or developed by man, artificial environment it is also called as, which includes the environment which is developed by human being. It includes different kinds of human settlements, the various kinds of economic activities, the social environment, cultural environment, technological environment, and political environment. Human settlements, including rural settlements and urban settlements, play significant role in human habitation, because these settlements are called as the places where human habitations. The urban centers are more concentrated with population, whereas the rural settlements are the settlements with less number of people. And the characteristics of human settlements, both rural and urban, vary from place to place, and their general characteristics can also be discussed and observed from these photographs. There are various kinds of economic activities that are performed by human being to satisfy their needs and wants, including agricultural activities, mining operations, ranching of animals or domestication of animals, trade and commerce, manufacturing activities, and transportation and communication sector, and also the service sector. The economic activities are primarily classified into primary economic activities, secondary economic activities, and tertiary economic activities. But these economic activities has a very close association with the natural environment. Rather, none of the economic activities can be performed without use of natural resources. So there is a very close association between man and nature, because nature provides resources, and by using these resources, human being perform various economic operations. Social environment speaks about various social characteristics of human settlements or human groups. May it be the way of living of this, may it be the festivals that they are performed in different parts of the world, may it be food habits that are prevalent in different parts of the world, and the kind of living standard, the way of living, the appearance also vary from place to place. So social environment also is an important man-made environment. Cultural environment, as far as is concerned, it includes various dimensions of culture, like linguistic differences, racial discrimination or racial differences, differences in terms of religion, and also the way people celebrated the festivals. So if you look at the cultural differences in India, we find that right from the Jammu and Kashmir up till the Kanyakumari, we have variation, tremendous variation in terms of the cultural activities that they are performed. Cultural activities or cultural characteristics of the particular region is nothing but the reflection of the natural setup or the man-nature relationship in that particular area. Technological environment speaks about the technological advancement and various kinds of discoveries and inventions taken place over the period of time, and it has also considered as the engine of economic development. Technology has speeded up or accelerated the rate of economic development, but at the same time, the technology can also be used to solve the environmental problems on a larger scale. Political environment include various political systems which are in operation in different parts of the world. May it be uh, democratic values or democratic systems which is being accepted and adopted by various countries in the world now, or may it be the dictatorship which is observed in different parts of the world, that results in changing man nature relationship uh, in the respective countries, because the political systems determines the economic system of the particular region, and economic system of a particular region determines the man nature relationship in the country. So it is also a important type of environment. Now the political systems vary from place to place, and that results in the variation in man environment relationship also. So these are the two types of environment: natural environment or physical environment, and anthropogenic or man-made environment. Let us now try to understand the various components of natural environment. When we talk about natural environment, they are normally classified into three components: abstract component, abiotic component, and biotic component. Abstract component of natural environment are the abstract ideas or abstract concepts which determines the human habitation and man nature relationship. Abiotic component are all inorganic substances that are available on the planet earth, and biotic components are all living beings that play important role in the natural environment. So the classification of components of natural environment is shown in this particular slide. Abstract components include location, situation, size and shape of the region, and nature of coastline. Biotic components include all living beings, including natural vegetation, animals and birds, soil, and microorganism, whereas abiotic components include topography, nature of coastline, rocks and minerals, water, climate, and other non-living things on this particular planet. Let us try to understand the abstract components of the natural environment. Abstract component of the natural environment include location, size of the region, shape of the region, nature of coastline, where they play important role in man-nature relationship. Now, location is a very important factor. It's an abstract factor which determines various variation in man environment relationship in different parts of the world. Location is considered as identification of a place or a point on the earth surface. Then only we can actually identify and travel to that particular place. Otherwise we won't be able to identify the place if its location is unknown. And therefore, location is defined as the identification of a place or a point on the earth's surface. Location is of two types: absolute location and relative location. Absolute location is identified in terms of latitudes and longitudes, which are imaginary lines on the earth's surface. And by these horizontal and vertical lines, we can easily identify the location on the earth's surface, which is called as latitude and longitudes, or absolute location. Relative location, on the other hand, is the identification of a place or a point on the earth's surface where one particular place is related, or it is identified in reference to some other place or in relation to some other place. It may be a geographical perspective, or it may be an administrative reference, or maybe a natural feature. So absolute location, as I told you, is the location in terms of latitudes and longitudes. So the horizontal lines to the equator are called latitude, and perpendicular lines to the equator are called as longitudes. So based on these latitudes and longitude grid, we can identify a place or a point on the earth's surface. Like for example, how many degrees in the north latitude, and how many degrees from in the longitudinal extent where the place is located. So GPS and other areas where this particular type of location is used. In aviation sector, particularly, the absolute location is used. Latitudinal and longitudinal extent is being used on a larger scale in order to land to a particular place desired for landing and taking off. And also in the GPS, now everyone has GPS in their mobile to identify and track the location of a particular person in different place of the world. And also the satellite remote sensing, the absolute location is being used. Now relative location, as far as is concerned, is the location or identification of a place or a point on the earth's surface in relation to some other places. And therefore this is a very simple example of relative location. Like, this is the map of Maharashtra, and I want to identify the location of Pune district. So Pune district can be identified with the help of Maharashtra. So Pune district is in Maharashtra state, is the identification of Pune district in relation to Maharashtra state. Same is in case of Maharashtra's location in India. So I am relating Maharashtra with India. Say Mumbai is in Maharashtra, so I am relating Mumbai with Maharashtra. So when we relate the identification of a place or a point on the earth's surface with some other geographical or administrative places, then it is called as relative location. There are different types of relative locations, including insular locations, then peninsular location, then littoral location, or the continental location. Insular location is the location of a place wherein a particular land, if it is surrounded by water from all the sides. This is the map of South Asia, wherein Sumatra, Java Island, and many other island countries are surrounded by water from the all the direction. This is called as insular location. Peninsular location is the location wherein a particular piece of land is surrounded by water from three sides and with land bordered from one side. So it is called as peninsular location. Now India has a peninsular location, and therefore we have large amount of coastal areas, and we also have a land border to the north of the India. Littoral location is the location which is very close to the water body in the coastal areas particularly, and continental location is the location wherein a particular place or a point is surrounded by land from all the sides. Now this is a very important type of location called as Isthmian location, which speaks about the location in terms of connectivity. Now this is a map of Suez Canal. So Suez Canal connect with Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So it is a very important or key area from where the transportation and trade is done through this Suez Canal. So this is the reason why it is called as Isthmian location. Then the focal location. Focal location speaks about the location which is very frequently linked with different parts of the world by the way of air transport or different modes of communication and transportation facilities. Like for example, Mumbai is very well connected with different cities in India with frequent aviation transport, and also the different places or cities in the world. So that's why Mumbai is having focal locations. Similarly, other major cities in the world which are very much frequently connected with aviation transport. Next important factor of the abstract factor of natural environment is size of the region. Now size of the region play important role in the man environment relationship. If the size of the region is small, then these countries or these regions will control over less amount of resources, and also the variety of resources will be less. Whereas the larger countries or larger regions will control over variety of resources, and the amount of resources will also be more in such countries. This is the comparison of Japan and China. So China is much greater, larger region as compared to the Japan, and therefore Japan has very less amount of resources, or Japan control over less amount of resources, whereas China command over significantly large number of resources as compared to Japan. Shape of the region as far as is concerned, it is also important. In north-south extent of India also play important role. Let us try to understand it in a better manner in the next slide. So suppose this is the north-south extent of India. India's south tip of India is close to the equatorial region, whereas the north tip of India, which is Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh region, which is very close to the temperate region, and therefore we find different types of climates in different parts of the India. Like for example, the central part of India is having predominance of monsoon climate or seasonal climate, whereas the northern part of India is very much controlled by or associated with temperate climate, whereas the climate in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, which is very much associated with equatorial and hot and humid climate in the equatorial region, because it is close to equatorial region. Whereas if you look at this Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka north-south extent is very much less as compared to India, and therefore The climate variation is not found in Sri Lanka because its shape and extent, north-south extent, is very, very less. The nature of coastline, as far as is concerned, we can find that there are two types of coastlines: straight coastline and indented coastline. So indented coastlines, are very much important uh, from the fishing ground point of view, because the wave attack is not direct in the indented coastline, and these kind of longshore drifts are created, which are very much favorable for development of fishing grounds, and therefore in the intended coastlines, fishing activities are more developed in such areas. Whereas on the in the straight coastlines, if you look at, there is a direct attack of sea waves on the coastline, and therefore longshore drift doesn't exist there, and therefore the fishing grounds also are not very well developed in the coastal area. So that is the difference between coastal and nature of coastline, that also determines various economic operations. As I told you, that intended coastline are much favorable for fishing catch, and hence fishing is more developed in indented coastline. On the other hand, the straight coastlines are often attacked by sea waves, and hence the fish do not grow much vigorously. So that's how the uh, part we have discussed today, that the concept of environment, the concept of environmental system, natural and anthropogenic environment, and we have discussed different components of natural environment, wherein we have discussed the abstract components of natural environment. We will discuss the abiotic and biotic components of natural environment in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Have a nice time.